Okay, so we're back. So, like I was saying, um, the judge can't explain what premeditated means. So the judge is going to just read the statute again, and that's going to be it. So, okay, so they meet with the judge, both sides, and Nico and Tommy are basically saying, we should just go ahead. It should just be a mistrial. Maya says that she can take over. Rusty's like, nah, I got it. I'm going to represent myself. And he's like, I've got more experience than Maya. And the judge is like, listen, you better be careful because if you introduce anything that's not in evidence or you advocate for yourself in any way, you will be subject to cross examination. And he's like, okay, I got it. I'm not going to do that. And I just want y'all to understand Rusty deciding to represent himself is insane. And I don't mean like by tell like it this is an insane part of the plot. I mean any attorney representing themselves when they're charged with murder is insane. It's not logical. In law school they say any attorney who represents themselves has a fool for a client. I think they actually said that in the episode. So, but that is real. That's not made up. That's something that they tell us in law school. And you can represent yourself for minor things, like if you get a traffic ticket and you want to take it to court, or you can represent yourself, negotiating a settlement if you get into a car accident. I've represented myself. Well, not really represented myself because I don't think who I was negotiating with, I don't think they knew I was an attorney, but I have represented myself in getting a settlement before. So those are minor things, but something this major, this emotional, this in a type of situation where it can be easy to make you show extreme raw emotion, no, horrific idea. This is, and it's kind of it's along the lines of why surgeons aren't allowed to operate on family members. It's just too emotional. Same thing. I'm not surprised that Rusty is arrogant enough to think he can represent himself and do a good job because I think that's part of his arrogance, but it's also really important to him to clear his name because oftentimes prosecutors think of themselves as paragons of virtue. And so he just feels like he needs to do everything in his power to clear his name, even if it's foolish. So we see a scene of Raymond watching the trial from hospital. And I know some of you are probably like, he literally just had to get a pacemaker installed. Why the fuck is he watching this trial? Like, this is insane. Why isn't he focusing on getting better? So my response to that would be he likely has not withdrawn his entry of appearance for the case. Your entry of appearance is just something that you file with the court to officially say, I'm representing this client. He probably is planning on returning to court to represent Rusty, which as we see he did. And also, I think y'all should know a lot of lawyers are workaholics. And for us, being a lawyer is part of our identity because of the way that law school teaches you to think. And it affects the way that you react and you think about things for the rest of your life. So, in many ways, your job as a lawyer becomes who you are, which can be good and bad. Um, so they go to court the next day, and immediately Rusty has to cross examine Michael, Carolyn's son. As soon as he started talking to him, I said, he does not sound as sincere as Raymond. And I was like, this is confirmation. This is a horrific idea. So Rusty accused, as the cross goes on, Rusty accuses Michael of killing his mother. A child, a literal child. This is not her adult son. This is a child. I think he did it because he wanted to provoke an aggressive response from Michael's father, Dalton, and it worked. Dustin is not a suspect I had considered before, but let's add him to the list now that we've seen this outburst in court. It's probably not him, but we'll add him to our list anyway. So then we see a scene of, apparently in this DA's office, when you win your first trial, they cut off a piece of the tie that you're wearing and like pin it to the wall and say, what trial it was and everything, which I think is a cute little ritual. I think rituals like that are really cute. And so Tommy, is like got his hands on like Carolyn's arms, and it's like he goes in to kiss her on the cheek and she kind of steps back. And so to me, what that was giving is, I know you like me, I don't like you, and I'm not trying to lead you on. I'm not trying to give you the wrong idea. And what it also gave to me is that Carolyn was bothered because she's really been signaling to Tommy, like, I'm not interested in you. And he hasn't been accepting that. And that's probably why she reported him to HR. So then we see, so this is like a memory that Tommy's having. And then we see he rips Carolyn's card off the wall, which I thought was very interesting because, this is was his coworker. So we're supposed to believe that he's so upset that she's been murdered. But what that moment gave to me is that he really did like her. He really did have feelings for her. He cannot stand the fact that she chose Rusty over him. And also, I'm going to tag Jake Gyllenhaal in this video. Jake, I really hope you see this. I want you to know I'm a huge fan of yours. I've watched almost everything you've been in. Jake Gyllenhaal himself and Jake Gyllenhaal as Rusty Savage is a very attractive man, okay? Very charming. And so I feel like Tommy, who is not as conventionally good looking, let's say, he feels he's jealous of Rusty's whole shtick, like how charming people find him, the fact that he got Carolyn, like, so he's just furious about everything. So that's what that moment gave to me. So, in his cross-examination of Michael, it's decided that Rusty has introduced things that are not evidence in the case, and he has opened the door to be cross-examined. So Tommy calls Rusty to the stand. They go to judge's chambers. Tommy argues. Actually, I was supposed to say this before what I just said, but sorry. Tommy argues Rusty opened the door. Judge Little agrees. And she says, hey, listen, I'll give you a mistrial right now, no questions asked. Rusty says he'll testify. Horrific decision. Horrible. When he said that, I literally threw my hands up in the air, like as I was watching it. And like I said, it's really important to him to prove his innocence. And he is just so offended to his core that anybody could think that he's a murderer. I never thought that Rusty did it. Let me just say that. But him being this willing to be so incredibly foolish just to prove his innocence lets me know that he didn't do it. So when Rusty decides that he's going to take the stand, he and Maya get into this little tiff, and Maya's like, listen, you don't know what you're doing. You think you do, but you don't. I'm leaving the case. Which is very hard to do typically, unless the client is not paying you. But in this instance, Judge Little knows how difficult Rusty is. So if Maya were to request to leave the case, I'm sure that she would have granted that. But the judge has to grant you the permission to no longer represent someone. You don't get just to say, okay, I'm done. I'm not showing up for court tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. Okay, so then we find out that Rusty is taking Ritalin to help him prepare for representing himself, and also he's taking it before he's going to be cross-examined. I have never done that before trial. While I've been on trial, I haven't heard of anybody doing it, but people probably do it. I think I heard about people taking it before exams in law school, but I'm not sure. And again, this is about to end, so I'm going to have to do a third one. I'll be right back.